Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain a quick look at our most recent event, Ageless Artifice. This is a defensive battles event, and it's our first ever defensive battles event outside of Fire Emblem Heroes that actually has an original map. So super excited to check this out. You can see here we're in the city of Grams, fighting off waves of androids. And in case you're wondering about why I decided to release this video today as opposed to a banner review, well, frankly, we just don't know enough information about the banner, and in particular with Lilith releasing tomorrow. I know that we have a light and water character on the banner who are brand new, and I'm just not going to be able to provide much useful information on those characters without actually having played Lilith's fight. So, for once, despite often releasing these banner reviews on day one, well ahead of actually knowing what the characters do, for once I decided let me wait, probably going to release that toward the end of the banner availability. So not to say you shouldn't summon, but honestly I just don't know yet whether you should summon or not. I'm going to lean no just off the bat because they are permanent characters, but after having played through this event, I really want both Eirine and Finni. So to get into the event story a little bit, now's your chance to avoid spoilers and walk away if you want to do so, but to get into the event story a bit, this was actually really good. It really impressed me considering how short defensive battle stories are. There's only really a few chapters to undergo a story arc. And well, speaking of arc, this story had lore, it had character development and growth. It made the two new summonable characters like really appealing and really enticing just with a little bit of time. So I was really happy with this story. It felt like the right amount, like it wasn't dragging on at all. So to talk about it specifically, as I mentioned when it comes to arc, we find out that basically there is a human survival project of sorts where 1,000 years ago, during the ongoing war between dragons and humans, a society sprung off and went to sort of a floating island city, and they're known, or the city is known as the Ark, basically, and they have a legion of androids called Ex Machina, whose goal is to eliminate terrestrials, which are people who inhabit the Earth that believe in the coexistence of humans and dragons, that have contributed to basically the regime that Elysium and Ilia sort of started 1,000 years ago. So crazy to find out about such a powerful floating city shadow organization this far into Dragalia Lost Life, but honestly I feel like the devs just make this stuff up as things go along, and I'm actually here for it. I think it's pretty cool to think about that location existing in the world of Dragalia Lost, so I thought that that was really hype. We had almost like an android pope. That's what she looked like. I think her name was Anasa. I can't remember exactly, but basically giving orders for Ex Machina to Eirine and Finni, pitting them against Laxi. They find out that Laxi's a pretty powerful android because of her mana kiln, despite Laxi and Mascula only being developed 300 years ago when technology was actually worse in the world of Dragalia Lost than it was 1,000 years ago. We get more references to Maestro, the character who originally created Laxi and Mascula and is responsible for them having a heart. So all in all, this was just like really good, deep lore, good character development. I mean, Eirine and Finni wanting to save each other and sacrifice for one another. I feel like that is quintessentially what love is and comes down to, is the willingness or want even to put somebody else before yourself. And yeah, I just really liked it. Like, this was a really cool little story, complete package for me. The event itself, you know, we had a lot of different Grams maps. Gonna switch over to the defensive training since it's the hardest quest in this event now. This one wasn't on any of the Grams maps, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but continued on a tradition that we got during our Dragonial defensive battle where we had to fight some of the Sevenitlan armed forces, including Victor and I think it was, I'm trying to think if it was everybody, if it was all four of them, but I think for sure it was Victor and Kirsty, but I don't remember if it was also Noelle and Joaquim. But basically, the defensive battles are getting better. That's what I want to say. So we just fought in the city of Grams against Eirine and Finni, and now in this fight, we're going to fight against Laxi. So pretty cool stuff. of course, another big implication of this event, continuing on the theme of Mascula eventually having his own body. The way the event ended with Shell talking about repurposing and being able to fix his body despite it being sort of sacrificed along the way, it definitely makes me think, if there was any doubt, like Gala Mascula is going to happen at some point, and I feel like probably sooner rather than later, since we're running low on royal siblings to convert into Gala adventurers. Unless we happen to rescue Valix relatively quickly, I think it could be one of the next 2 Gala adventurers, Gala Mascula. I do still think we're likely to get Not this month, but I do think Mascula could be the next adventure after that, after something like Gala Reborn Agni. So, all in all, really enjoyed this one. I have to say, like, Eirine and Finni's bond was really sweet. Mascula and Laxi are characters I love to see developed. Got a lot of nice Luca action in as well. Tight cast of characters with, like, not really that many superfluous characters showing up. So, yeah, good stuff from Dragalia Lost. Ageless Artifice. So, outside of that, we also got some news that I want to talk about that pertains to Lilith, especially since we're here on the eve of Lilith's release. Maybe by the time you're watching it, this is old news and Lilith has already released. But we found out at Reset that Lilith is going to have a special effect that eliminates certain types of buffs. So I think it's like called Curse of Nihilism, something like that, and basically makes it so that a large array of different buffs don't have any effect against Lilith. So this is a pretty big game changer in the water and light elements. Definitely feels like more of a hammer than a scalpel to kind of root out the problem of Karina being very dominant. It's funny because Karina, as dominant as she is, she is sort of egalitarian. Like, I don't know a better way to say that, but like, she's a 4-star. That does open up things a lot for a lot of players who may be free to play. Now, this buff change hasn't been fully realized yet. Obviously, at the time of recording, Lilith isn't even out, but people are going through and seeing which characters' buffs are excluded from this and which characters' buffs are not. And what it seems like is if you have a unique special personal buff, that tends to not count for this, and it still is going to work. And if you have just like a generic buff, it is going to count. But the weird thing about it is, a lot of times, it's like the Gala characters, the collab characters that have these special buffs, so it definitely feels to me like there's a monetization aspect to this as well that I have to mention. Like, the characters that seem to be particularly well suited for this also seem to coincide with the characters that are going to cost a lot of money to get and maybe limited in some ways. So I do want to acknowledge that, like, Karina, for all the trouble and hardship she may have caused us as far as the meta, like, she is a free-to-play friendly option, and that is something I did respect about her. So we'll see what it actually means for Lilith. One thing that's not clear to me at all is how long that effect Lilith applies will even last. It may not be the entire quest, it may just be a short duration, so we don't know if it's more of a dull res or more of an enervation that's really a big nuisance. We'll have to see, and I'm really looking forward to it. Outside of that, still have not gone out of my way to look up any info on Lilith, but that was a pretty big piece of info dropped by the devs themselves that gave me some ideas about who I might want to put on a team that I was taking to that. So as of now, I know that I'm for sure going to want to use Tiki on my water team. We'll see, unless there's some other types of barriers to her entry. She's probably going to make my team because she doesn't really rely upon buffs or anything of the sort in her kit. And otherwise, I'm just excited to check things out. Have a lot of different light and water units I really want to use. From this onslaught event, or defensive event, excuse me, we do get a lot of stamina to utilize as well. So definitely going to be putting that toward lots of Lilith grinding if I am able to beat it. Hopefully I am, but even if I am, maybe pretty hard to do, so we'll see how things go. I'm going to start off with the easier difficulties and work my way up to master. Probably will post a video whenever I clear, and then after doing a couple more clears, maybe make a more robust video talking about some of the mechanics, since I am going at it alone at first. And that's pretty much going to do it for today, everyone. Here we are at the end of our Defensive Battles quest. Our boss, of course, is a familiar one from the campaign, Laxi. And things got pretty dicey for me here, not using a healer. Of course, this was my event-themed team. If you played through the event, you'll know that Carl and Julieta also have a role to play. Swapped over to Luca just to make sure that I didn't die here and not get a deathless at the end, and once Galithor became ready, I felt like this was pretty much guaranteed. So let me know what you thought about this event in the comments below. Would love to hear your take, and let me know what you think about this banner and Lilith as well. That's going to do it for today, everyone. So thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.